Hey everyone, I'm here today with a book review, and that is on Now You See Me by S.J. Bolton. First off, I want to say that this will be a spoiler-free review, so you don't have to worry about any spoilers because I won't be mentioning any. Now You See Me is about a young detective named Lacey Flint who one night stumbles upon a dying woman. This woman has been brutally stabbed in the stomach and clearly is dying. So by the time Lacey reaches this woman has died in her arms, and the murderer is nowhere to be seen. About 24 hours after the murder has happened, Lacey receives this note from the murderer that kind of addresses her personally and brings up some aspects of Lacey's life that she would rather not have discovered. The murder that Lacey had witnessed was the first in a string of many gruesome and brutal murders that began happening around a city in England, and they strangely match the murders of Jack the Ripper. Now, this copycat murderer is kind of targeting Lacey herself and bringing her into these murders and bringing up a past that Lacey has tried to hide from everyone around her and try to build this new life for herself, and she now is worried about her past life kind of bringing up again because of these murders. So that pretty much summarizes the book in the most non-spoiler way, I guess. I just want to start off first by saying this is probably my favorite book that I have read this year. It was seriously amazing. I loved it so much. The plot of this book was so interesting, and it always kept you on your feet and guessing. I literally had no idea what was going to happen next. I always had my ideas of what I thought was going to happen, and then a few chapters later that was completely wrong, and then I had a new idea, and then that one was wrong, and then I went back to another one, and basically I had no idea what was going to happen by the end of this book, which was great. Although this book followed pretty strictly to the actual murders of Jack the Ripper, it had its own unique and interesting twist to the murders. As you're reading this book, you're basically getting a history lesson while enjoying this book. It was great. I can honestly tell you probably everything about Jack the Ripper and about the murders that happened and that terrorized England for so many years, but yes, it was great. The characters in this book were also very, very strong. I was kind of worried before I started reading this book about how I was going to be able to connect with the characters because they are a lot older than me. I don't think she actually stated exactly how old the characters were. She might have, and I might have missed it, or I just don't remember. But I believe they were in their late 20s to their early to mid 30s. Like I said again, I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But I sometimes just have trouble connecting with characters who are so much older than me because I kind of have a hard time finding common ground with them. But with S.J. Bolton's characters, I honestly had no problem connecting with them, and just her writing style and how she presented the characters just made me fall in love with them. They were great. Lacey was a very, very strong character. She was mysterious, but she was very intelligent, and you knew right off the bat that she was hiding something and that she was trying to keep something secret about her life, and it just made you want to find out what exactly it was that she was trying to hide. Lacey was also a very flawed character. She had a lot of flaws within her personality, how she acted, and how she interacted with others, which I thought made her even better. But besides just Lacey, the supporting characters were also fantastic. I loved every character that was introduced in this book, and there was none that I really hated, and there was none that I didn't like and that I kind of wish was not in the book. I thought they were all great, and they all contributed to the plot and made it that much better. Another fantastic thing about this book is S.J. Bolton's writing style. She has a very distinctive writing style, and it instantly draws you in. By like the first page, I honestly could not put this book down, and it just grabs your attention right away, and it just keeps making you want more and more and more. It's very descriptive without being too wordy, which is great because some authors can be very descriptive in their writing, but then you're kind of just like, okay, get to the point. Only warning I do have about this book to you, if you're deciding if you want to read this book, is that it is very descriptive, like I said, and she goes into great detail and pretty gruesome detail about the murders. So if you are kind of squeamish and you're not into gore and you're not into very descriptive information about murders, I would maybe stray away from this book. Just depends of how you can handle that or whatever. I mean, you can skip over it. It's probably not that big of a deal, but in some parts it can get very gruesome. I personally love that, and I thought that's what made this book even better, was because of the very descriptive, and it just made you feel for the character that had died and for the characters who had to kind of witness this, and it just made it that much better. I had such a hard time trying to pick out something that I did not like about this book, but if I had to pick something, it would probably be that the book kind of ended very suddenly and it wasn't as descriptive as the rest of the plot. You didn't really get a very big insight into what happened to the characters after the mystery was solved. It just kind of briefly touched over how their life was after this incident, but it wasn't in that much detail. Like I said, it just kind of ended, which, granted, that might be because there are more books in this series. That might have been one of the reasons why it ended so suddenly, but I have not read the second book to know if it picks up right after this incident or if it kind of brings in this incident along with a new one, so I'm not sure, and that's kind of why I wish it ended a little differently and that we got to know a little bit more about how the characters were after this incident. And that's seriously probably the only problem I had with this book. I absolutely loved it. Like I said, this is probably one of my favorite books I've read this year, maybe even last year also. It was just fantastic. So overall, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was just absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to read more of her books and her other series outside of the Lacey Flint novels, and I just cannot even put into words exactly how much I love this book and how much I enjoyed it. So if you are looking for a mystery, suspense, thriller, adrenaline rush filled book, this is your book, and yes, please check out S.J. Bolton, or Sharon Bolton as her other pen name, or her real name. But yes, because it is great and she is great, and I cannot wait to read her other works and continuing on the Lacey Flint novel. So that is my review of Now You See Me by S.J. Bolton, and you should really go pick it up because it's great and it does not get enough hype around the booktube community, or I guess really in general, as it really deserves. So please check it out because it's great. So yeah, that is all I have for today, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye!